As the lead guitarist for Guns N' Roses, Slash established himself as one of hard rock's finest and most soulful soloists during the late 80s. His guitar playing was technically adept, yet always firmly grounded in the gritty Aerosmith and Stones licks he loved, and his image was as iconic as his playing. After GNR splintered in the early 90s, Slash formed the on-again and off-again side project Slash's Snakepit and joined the successful hard rock supergroup Velvet Revolver. He issued his debut solo album in 2010 and later teamed up with touring partners Myles Kennedy and the Conspirators, who became his de facto solo band on subsequent efforts Apocalyptic Love in 2012, World on Fire in 2014, Living the Dream in 2018, and 4 in 2022. However, here are some interesting facts about Slash. Slash has a serious health issue. Years ago, things took a scary turn when Slash found out that he had a serious heart issue. This incident took place before Slash decided to stop relying on drugs. Doctors told him that he had congestive heart failure. The condition had been caused by his excessive consumption of drugs. Things looked grim at the time and medical professionals thought that Slash only had a few days left. Thankfully Slash was able to bounce back on account of physical therapy sessions. He also used a defibrillator to keep his condition in check. As a band, Guns N' Roses definitely witnessed lots of drug-related issues. For instance, drummer Steven Adler had 2 heart attacks, a stroke, as well as 28 overdoses. Their guitarist Izzy Stradlin slipped into a coma for several days while bassist Duff McKagan almost lost his life on account of his excess alcohol consumption. David Bowie tried to help him. Slash and David Bowie were familiar with each other for a long time. Slash's mom was romantically involved with David Bowie for a bit. Once things got really out of hand when the musician spoke about walking in on the couple in a private moment. He was filled with regret later and clarified, "All I said was there was one occasion where I happened to walk into the bedroom when they weren't fully dressed, that was it. It wasn't anything more lewd than that, end of story." David Bowie genuinely did care about Slash. When he was really struggling with addiction and started hallucinating, Bowie spoke to him and tried to help by comforting him. Bowie told him, "You're probably in a bad place right now and you have become vulnerable to a lot of outside interaction with things that people don't normally see, and you've exposed yourself to this." Slash knew that these were wise words. Addiction almost took his life. When Slash was in San Francisco for work, he had a scary experience. He was momentarily dead before being brought back to life. He told The Guardian that he had vivid memories of that day. He said, "These drug dealers came to my hotel room at 5 a.m. They had everything and I took all of it. I started down the hallway and I ran into a maid, and I asked where the elevator was and then bam, I collapsed." An eyewitness got really scared when she saw the musician. He was rushed to the hospital, but he said that he felt all right and left for his next performance. He explained what overdosing on drugs feels like. The musician said, "There's a certain kind of scene where everybody is just moving really quickly and there's noise from radios and everything. I've experienced it a bunch of times." Slash has seen what drugs can do to people. He lost friend and fellow musician Scott Weiland in 2015 after he had a drug overdose. For Slash, thinking about his kids and turning his attention to music helped him quit drugs for good. He had a difficult relationship with Axl Rose. Slash and Axl Rose were a part of the original Guns N' Roses lineup and knew each other for a really long time. Their relationship was complicated, and the musicians didn't really interact with each other for around 2 decades after they had a falling out. Slash decided to step away from Guns N' Roses in 1996 at a time when the group was struggling with an unsuccessful album called The Spaghetti Incident. Many believed that Slash and Axl Rose were at odds and had many creative differences. Slash later said in his 2007 biography that Rose was a dominating figure who tried to drastically change the band and take full control, something that didn't work for him and eventually made him leave the band. He said at the time, "Axl and I have not been capable of seeing eye to eye on Guns N' Roses for some time. We recently tried to collaborate, but at this point I'm no longer in the band." He expressed hope that they would collaborate again together someday. They let go of their differences in 2015. Rose was the one who made the first move in a bid to bury the hatchet. Slash found it cathartic to speak to his old friend once more and reconnect. He acknowledged that they really did have a strong bond. Working with Michael Jackson was bittersweet for him. Slash had a tough time when he collaborated with Michael Jackson for one of their projects. What bothered him was that their meetings were simply erratic and didn't have a fixed routine. He said, "I like to keep a schedule and be punctual, but those dates just sat there for months and months until I kept thinking they didn't want to use me anymore." He clarified that he genuinely admired Michael Jackson as a musician and had a lot of respect for him. Slash was a part of Jackson's album Dangerous. Once everything was said and done, working with Jackson was a learning experience in many ways for Slash, who believed that Jackson was musically fluid and very talented. He reflected, "I do some shows here and there and it was fun because he was such a pro, and he was such a fucking talent from on high." Slash has had trouble with smoking. For Slash, it has not been easy to get rid of his smoking habit. He was addicted to it for many years. His ex-wife made him quit after the couple had a kid. He revealed that he decided to kick the habit when he was told that the baby was starting to smell like an ashtray. He managed to stay away from cigarettes for a year before he got back to smoking. The second time around, two things happened that had a major impact on him. He lost his mother to lung cancer and got pneumonia himself. He said, "And after I got sick I had a cigarette in my hand, and a lighter and I was about to smoke and it just seemed really stubborn of me." Slash also said that he was smoking constantly when he was at a Cher concert before he got sick with pneumonia. After that he ended up quitting for good. He was a troubled kid. Slash may have many fond memories from his childhood, but he also experienced terrible loneliness when he was little. According to a Rolling Stone piece, his parents decided to part ways in the 70s. Home was a bit uncertain and things at school were even worse. He often ended up being on his own because he just could not identify with his peers. He was shy, which made it harder for him to connect with others. He said, "I had long hair, and the schools I went to were filled with kids of bankers and real estate agents. It wasn't like any of them came from the same background I had." He was often thrown out of school, and things didn't look up for him until he started focusing on his skills as a guitarist. This helped him in a big way. His classmates were friendlier and more talkative around him because they knew that he could play the guitar. Slash has been called a problem child in the past. He wasn't into academia and would simply ignore it, focusing instead on BMX racing. Music was a godsend for him, and it gave him a purpose. He was so hooked that he would easily play for at least 12 hours every day.